Sometimes it feels like all the right wants to do is fantasize about the past. Return to tradition, return to the 1950s. Back in the 50s, everyone was trad and Christian and they were all married with 15 kids and a dog and a white picket fence. And look, I get it, okay? I do love the 1950s aesthetic. I love the music and the diners and the dances and the fast cars. But at the same time, we do need to get our facts straight. There's a very common talking point, especially among the, pro-tariff, national conservative crowd, that back in the 1950s, any normal guy who just worked a blue-collar job at a factory could afford a 5-bedroom house and a car. And that is just not true. If you look at the actual statistics, this idea that people were somehow richer in the 1950s is just patently absurd. With homeownership in particular, the rate of homeownership in the 1950s was 55%. Today, it's 65%. And that doesn't even take into account technology, because you can't just compare one home to one home. The homes we have now are far more technological. They have way more stuff built into them, whether that's, the more advanced air conditioning, just things to make life more comfortable. They have, dishwashers, things like that. And so you can't just compare, people owned more houses back then. Even if that were true, that wouldn't account for the fact that the houses that people do own now are way nicer. It's also a matter of size. Back in the 1950s, the average house size was only 983 square feet, whereas today it's 2,500 square feet. That is a huge difference, and I don't know why we don't talk about that more when we talk about homeownership. A lot of it also has to do with choices. It's not like, these millennials are being forced at gunpoint to rent a house instead of buy a house. A lot of them are choosing it, and for very valid reasons. If you want to live in a big city for a few years, but you don't think you're going to stay there long term, it really does make more sense to rent than to buy. There's also other benefits to renting. You have a lot less responsibility, right? If the dishwasher breaks, you just tell your landlord. It's not on you. If something goes wrong with the plumbing, if there's a fire, none of that's on you. You can just pack your things and move out. You have way more mobility and way less responsibility. You don't have to be the one who calls the handyman every month. You don't have to be the one who handles the insurance and all the paperwork. A lot of this nostalgia for the 1950s stems from an instinct of reaction, of turning back the clock, this fear of technology and innovation and new things. Sorry, I like technology. If that makes me a progressive, so be it. Oh, you want things to change in the future? You don't want it to be the same forever? You want things to get better? You must be a progressive. I do in fact want things to get better. AI is gonna take your jobs. That is stupid. I'm sorry, from an economics perspective, that is a dumb argument. I think a lot of it really does go back to that Puritan work ethic and that valuation of work in and of itself as something that you just need in your life. This idea that it's gonna take our jobs. Oh no, we need jobs. It's like, I hope it takes our jobs. I don't want to have jobs. If we can have robots do all the work, if we can have robots do all the manual labor, all the, cleaning sewers, all the sweeping floors, if we can have robots do all that, that sounds great. Our grandfathers would have called that a utopia. Look at retrofuturism, 1950s futurism. The way they saw the future was that robots would take all the manual labor and we would be left to pursue leisure. We would be left to pursue happiness, to write novels and songs, to explore the cosmos, to spend time with our families, doing what really truly makes us human. Reject the Protestant work ethic, reject this idea that jobs are what we want. Jobs are a means to an end. What really matters is wealth, because wealth allows you to have leisure and peace and tranquility and to pursue what you enjoy. Wealth is important. Jobs, in and of themselves, the employment rate, who cares? Who cares about that? If you can have wealth without jobs, so much the merrier. Things will become cheaper across the board due to AI, due to greater efficiency, and then we will have to spend less money. You know what that means? We'll have to earn less money. We will have to work less hours. And so, even as the total number of jobs might seem to decrease, we all have to work less hours. So what was previously a one-man, 40-hour-a-week job, now the work week is only 4 hours and you can afford everything you need, so that one job becomes a 10-man job. If they lived back during the Industrial Revolution, they would just be Luddites. And maybe you think that's kind of based. Believe me, I love nature and stuff. I have my problems with the Industrial Revolution, but the it's gonna take your jobs argument is just dumb. Obviously, everyone's standard of living is way higher since the Industrial Revolution. It didn't lead to hordes and hordes of people who can't get jobs because the machines, because the cotton gin took it all. That didn't happen. These people would tell you that we should ban tractors so that there could be more jobs for plowmen. They would tell you that we need to ban electricity so that we could have more jobs for lamplighters. They would tell you that we need to ban cars to protect the jobs of like those guys that carry around kings and their leaders. Like, what are we even doing? Leaders? Letters? What are those things called? So if the national conservatives are all nostalgic for the 1950s, you've also got like the tradcads that are nostalgic for medieval Europe, for feudalism. And there is some draw to that. I mean, believe me, I love The Sword in the Stone. I love King Arthur. I love, feudalism and the vast European old growth forests. I love those things. But in terms of technology, I think it is good that my children aren't dying of polio. I think it's good that my grandmother and my infant daughter don't just die every time it gets cold. I am glad that I can afford nice meals. I'm glad that I can afford a nice house and not live in a straw hut. There is kind of a straw man about the medieval times where people say it was just completely backwards and ignorant and everyone was just stupid. That's not true. But conservatives have swung way too far in the opposite direction to where we're now acting like medieval Europe was a utopia. No, sorry, people really were dirt poor. People really were living pretty awful lives a lot of the time. There was a lot of sickness and misery and cold. If you find yourself feeling ungrateful for modern technology, spend a night outside in the middle of winter and come back to me. You will feel so grateful to live in the modern world. When you step into the warm house, when you take a warm shower, it's miraculous. Voltaire and the Enlightenment philosophes were fundamentally correct. The peasants really were stuck in backward superstition and religious slavery and mindless poverty. I mean, some of the stuff that the medieval church did is just crazy. Tithes were forced. Like, you had, at force of law, to pay money to the church. You had to support these priests who just, a lot of them, sat around doing nothing. I mean, yes, of course you had the secular clergy who were in the world, administering sacraments and helping people and encouraging their flock, but you also had all these regular clergy. You had just monasteries chock full of guys who did nothing. And look, I don't have an inherent problem with monasteries. I mean, if you want to go off by yourself with the boys and pray, that's awesome, good for you. But why should me and all my farmer friends be forced to pay thousands and thousands of dollars so that you can do that? And frankly, a lot of you guys aren't really praying. A lot of you guys aren't really devout. Modern monasteries, sure, I truly believe that the vast majority of those guys are truly devout. They're doing the Lord's work. But back in the medieval ages, a lot of those monks were not devout at all. They were extremely corrupt. There was a very common institution where, because property went to the oldest son, the youngest son would just be thrown into a monastery. The daughters, if they couldn't get married, would just be thrown into a convent. Do you think that they were devout? Do you think that being forced into the monastic life made them devout Christians and that they spent their days praying for the good of the nation? I don't think so. I think they probably just sat around doing nothing, probably being bitter, or at worst being lazy. I mean, you had people like Talleyrand who were, monks, but didn't even believe in God and just wanted power. There were so many people like that. So those monasteries were just basically a waste of time, and everyone was forced to fund it. It was government subsidized laziness. Sorry, I like the modern world. I am very grateful to live in the 21st century. I do like science. I do like progress. We should have meritocracy. We should have laissez-faire economics. We should have freedom of speech. The rise of the middle class and the middle class lifestyle, the bourgeois world, is one of the greatest events in human history. The modern Enlightenment values of cosmopolitanism and individualism gave us real culture. Modernity gave us Star Wars and Lord of the Rings and the Romantic era and the novel. Oh, Arthur, you're such a consumer soy boy. Who cares about Star Wars? What's wrong with being a consumer? What's wrong with liking movies? What's wrong with enjoying things that make your life more pleasant? What's wrong with enjoying pop culture? Those are nice, beautiful, classic, enjoyable things. I like Star Wars. If that makes me a soy boy, too bad. All good art is fundamentally liberal. This is why all artists are leftists, because the liberal psychology is fundamentally implanted in good art. I mean, Mozart loved Napoleon. Mozart's loud, emotional music was seen as very egalitarian. It was seen as like a liberal revolt against the formal, traditional music that only existed to be background music for aristocratic dinner parties. Mozart said, no, music should be about the individual experience. Music should be about beauty and passion. That is good art. We are not traditionalists. We are futurists. We believe in O'Neil cylinders and Dyson spheres. We believe in intergalactic luxury space cruises. We believe in speed. We believe in skyscrapers and aeroplanes and bullet trains and nuclear power. Francis Bacon was right. Science has freed us from the drudgery of manual labor. It has freed us from the dull, parochial world where 90% of the population has to live on farms. I mean, look at diseases. Children used to die all the time. It was just expected. If you have like 5 kids, a couple of them are gonna die. Calvin Coolidge, the president of the United States, his son was playing tennis one day outside and he got a blister. It got infected and he died a week later. Nowadays, you get a blister, you don't even think twice about it, you know? Who cares? It gets infected, no worries. Just drive up to the local doctor's office, pay $10 for some medicine, and you're better the next day. Think about something as simple as laundry machines. Your grandma and my grandma, they didn't have those. They had to wash laundry by hand. Wash it, dry it, everything by hand, and it took all day. It took hours and hours and hours. Now, just throw it into the machine, throw in some soap, push the button, and you can go do something else. It's so nice. Dishwashers, air conditioning, hot water, being able to come home from a long day of work and microwave a warm meal of chicken and rice and sit down to watch an episode of your favorite show and take a nice, warm, relaxing shower before you go to bed. Have some gratitude, man. We should all be grateful for technology, for grocery stores and dishwashers and television. Was the 1950s better in a lot of ways? Of course. But we should be grateful for what we have. Gratitude is the secret to happiness, and frankly, God deserves better than you whining and griping when you live in one of the richest times in the entire history of mankind. Stop getting distracted with, oh, the robots are going to take our jobs. Yeah, they are, and that's good. It will make everything cheaper. It will free up so many resources. It will be good for the environment in the long run because it's more efficient. It will create more wealth and allow more people to live comfortable middle-class lives. Every single time there's technological progress, everybody freaks out and thinks they're going to lose their jobs. It doesn't happen. The Luddites were wrong. I want to live in a more technologically advanced world because a more technologically advanced world is a richer world. It means I will have more time to spend with my family, more time for art and nature and literature. I'll have more time to take my walks and write my books. That's what I want. In a world where AI makes the process of creation and the economy so much more efficient, people will become artists and writers more often, not less, because they'll have more time to pursue those things that make them truly human. These are exciting times. The channel is growing. People are waking up. The masses are becoming Arthur Greenwood pilled. But we still have a long way to go. My last channel was demonetized, and they might do the exact same thing to this one. So if you like what I do and you want to help me out, if you want to help my channel grow, there are 4 things you can do. 1. Leave a comment. Just say anything, literally anything, and that will be a huge help for the algorithm. 2. Send the video to a friend. I know you have some normie friend who needs to hear this. Or, most importantly, consider joining my Patreon. You'll get access to the Arthur Greenwood archive where you can watch my really controversial videos that I can't put on YouTube, including my really old videos from when I was like a democratic Voshite socialist. There's even the hour-long debate I had about anarcho-capitalism. You'll also get to join our members-only Discord server where you can talk with me and the boys about life and politics and history. It's a great time. We have weekly phone calls, and I have genuinely become really good friends with some of the guys in the server. Because we have to stick together, It's rough out there. We need networks of highly disciplined, highly intelligent men. If you want to join my network, all it costs is $1 a month. That adds up to $12 a year, which is nothing. That's less than an hour of work. And in exchange, you get to be my friend forever. You know what time it is. It's time for you to get thanked. I'm gonna thank you like crazy. Jawad Issa, Francis, Webb, Nihilus is here, Nick, Atlas Rise, Donkus Kebab, Total Nicked Elmo, Philip Von Filbert, King Crypto, Edrajed, Maxim, Sun Tzu, Larry O'Cannon, Mount Maxito, Eric DeMallet, Rodney, Hossboss, Brandon, Voidborn, Danis the Manus, Seb, Texan Tetra, Jake, Mark, Samarkand 19er, Ryrot, Lucaso, Bill, Aiden the Astronaut, Carter, Baseballgarian, Temp, Medi, Lucas, GPC, Ben, Karthik, Piedar, Frank, Woodson, Benjamin, Wesley, Dan, Honorary A, Bennett, Christian, Contranock, TDW, Curious Leftist, Reed O'Brien, Macaroni, Dees, AA Gaming, Mughal, NSA Watchlist Bait, Jax GM, Will Lawton, Vincius Neves, Rock Bullet, Trigon, Kozaru98, Michigan Person, Michael, Nightcore Lion, and the Fiery One. You guys, you don't even know. You don't even know how wonderful you are, how beautiful you are as human beings. Thank you. Thank you so much. I would not have a roof over my head if it wasn't for you. Thank you. Mwah.